Hello everyone, my name is Rachel M. Ragasi with my co-student researchers Abdul Halim Siti Hanifa and Amir Daniela Amna from Tourism Management in University of Mindanao, Tagum College. This is our presentation of our quantitative research entitled as The Impact of Natural Disaster Management Towards Tourist Interest in Tagum City. It is presented to the Thesis Committee, Department of Business Administration Education. Tourists frequently settle on an objective to find a touch of rest, the presence of a cataclysmic event danger, or the presence of a crisis situation in a destination. Tourists will consider different tourist spots choices to boost the convenience of the tourist activities. In any case, every single financial movement, the travel industry area, and tourist objections are vulnerable to natural disaster events. The power of environmental change has expanded quickly over the next several years, and natural disaster management takes the rule since disaster management focuses on reducing the frequency of disasters and reducing the impact of those that cannot be avoided, which makes it important. It is according to Target Study 2018 and Walters et al. 2015 in page 101. So this is our research objectives. First is to assess the level of natural disaster management in the city of Tagum in terms of preparedness, response, recovery, and development. The second objective is to assess the level of interest of tourists in the city of Tagum in terms of value interest, health interest, equipment interest, social interest, and psychological interest. Next is to determine the significant relationship between the level of natural disaster management and tourist interest among travelers in Tagum City. The last one is to determine which domain would significantly influence the natural disaster management to tourist interest among travelers in Tagum City. The hypothesis of the study will be tested at 0.05 level of significance, stating that there is no significant relationship between impact of natural disaster management towards tourist interest. Also, there is no domain in natural disaster management that would significantly influence the interest of tourists.
Good morning to each and everyone. I am Siti Anipa Abdul Halim and I am going to discuss the review of related literature. This part directly discusses the body of ideas, knowledge, options, and technical information of the author, which can give satisfaction to the readers that are relevant to the focus of the study. Moreover, it presents the data collected from over the world studying the same phenomenon that the researchers are trying to discover and find conclusion about it. It will introduce related investigation of the effect of natural disaster of the encounters of tourists. Theoretical framework. This is anchored on Robert Meyer 1990 destination choice set. This theory posited that a tourist is interested in destinations that are characterized and composed by a bundle of attributes. Within each bundle of attributes is a set of place-specific attributes such as destination, risk management, control, and a perceived level of locational convenience. This theory further views that the interest of tourists to choose destination is factorized by natural risk disaster management of the said destination, and the latter is mass consideration of destination size, site to be well planned and crafted. As such, the destination risk management control affect the interest of the tourists. The theory argued that tourists, as part of their travel safety, choose destination site with the best disaster management plan. Thus, the destination sites are more likely to be chosen by tourists. By Jeff Greenberg, 1986, Terror Management Theory. This theory explains how tourists protect themselves against concern of uncertainty in travel and making decisions. This theory further posits that tourists themselves gain comfort from the risk management plan and control of the destination site. This further explains that the risk management control of every destination site is the priority of some tourists as part of their main interest to go, considering that they make decisions from avoiding certain phenomena like natural disaster. Natural disaster and unexpected occasion are perfect representation of the such deciding variables, as they are significantly affect people and society and therefore have the incredible potential to influence the travel industry interest extensively. Theoretical framework. This is anchored on Robert Meyer 1990 destination choice set. This theory posited that a tourist is interested in destinations that are characterized and composed by a bundle of attributes. Within each bundle of attributes is a set of place-specific attributes such as destination, risk management, control, and a perceived level of locational convenience. This theory further views that the interest of tourists to choose destination is factorized by natural risk disaster management of the said destination, and the latter is mass consideration of destination size, site to be well planned and crafted. As such, the destination risk management control affect the interest of the tourist. The theory argued that tourists, as part of their travel safety, choose destination site with the best disaster management plan. Thus, the destination sites are more likely to be chosen by tourists. Conceptual framework. Independent variable and dependent variable. The independent variable are natural disaster, preparedness, response, recovery, and development. The dependent variable are tourist interest, value interest, health interest, equipment interest, social interest, and psychological interest.
So next is the significance of the study. So the result of this study will benefit to this following. First is the tourist destination site. Next is the tourists themselves, and the last is for the future researchers. So next is the definition of terms. So for the clarification and better understanding of the study, the following terms were defined both conceptually and operationally defined. First is the natural disaster management. Refers to an association and the board of assets and responsibilities regarding managing all compassionate parts of crisis concerning readiness, response, recovery, and development to diminish the following of disasters. Next is the tourist interest. Refers to the interest of the person who is traveling or visiting a place for pleasure. Operationally, these are the interests of tourists that are measured by value interests, health interests, equipment interests, social interests, and psychological interests that are primarily subject and affected by the natural disaster management program of tourist destination. So the next is the research design. This study will use a correlation technique and the quantitative non-experimental research design. This is quantitative research method in which two or more quantitative variables are used to characterize the effect of one variable on another rather than assessing the variable's correlation area. Next is the research local. These study findings are specific to the tourism scenario in Tagum City, Davao del Norte. The scope of the study and the size of the sample limited the findings' generalizability. Next is the population in sample. The respondent of the study are local visitors from Tagum City, Davao del Norte. And the recommended sample size is 396 respondents. So next is the research instrument. The research instrument will use a questionnaire created by the researchers. The consultant will construct the form in a clear and succinct manner, ensuring that the assertions are simple understood by the respondent. Next is the data collection. So if it is approved, we the researcher have to undergo steps and procedures in gathering the data of this study. So first is we the researchers will make the questionnaires, and then we have to validate to the professors. And then next is we'll attest to the reliability and validity of the tool to be used in gathering the necessary data. The questionnaires will submit to the professor for correction. So we, the researcher, will also ask permission from the dean of the college to conduct the study. And the next is statistical tool. The statistical tool used for data analysis and interpretation are the following. First is the mean. Next is the person. Next is the multiple regression. So mean is this statistical tool used to determine the level of natural disaster and tourist interest among travelers in Tagum City. The person R is this statistical tool was employed to determine the significance of the relationship between natural disaster and tourist interest among travelers in Tagum City. Next is the multiple regression analysis. So this was used to find out what domain in the natural disaster management best predicts the tourist interest. And that would be all. Thank you for listening, Mom, Sir. Have a good day. God bless us all.